What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Omar Talks Football, and welcome, guys, to yet another video. Now, this particular topic has been something that has been regurgitating amongst the Madrid fan base throughout this season. There has been a continuous divide at Real Madrid on to why this team, which for all intents and purposes have a lot of incredibly world-class players, struggle to gel, struggle to link. Why is the chemistry so weak? Specifically down to two players. The two players being Kylian Mbappé and Vinicius Jr. Now, Kylian Mbappé joined Real Madrid in the summer of 2024. Real Madrid had just completed a season double, winning the league and the Champions League. They were riding on a high and everything looked basically rosy. This combination was supposed to be this best combination in the entirety of Europe. However, ever since Mbappe has arrived, there has been a downward trajectory as far as team chemistry is concerned. Now, I personally don't think Mbappe is at fault. Mbappe individually has been doing quite a good job, right? Since he's joined Real Madrid, he's been performing well. He's been scoring plethora amounts of goals. He won the Golden Boot last season. He's on course to win the Golden Boot this season. However, despite Kylian Mbappe's individual form, when you look at players like Vinicius, like Jude Bellingham, who we did see the season before Kylian Mbappe joined, had amazing seasons. I mean, Vinicius was coming from a Ballon d'Or season when Kylian Mbappe arrived. That's why there was so much excitement when he did arrive, because the potential of having two potential Ballon d'Or contenders in the same team was a scary concept. However, like I mentioned, it's never worked out. We've seen the flashes. However, that's all it's been. Flashes. We've seen moments when we thought it might work. But clearly, I feel like a lot of Madridistas will agree that for some reason, this combination between Kylian Mbappe and Vini doesn't work. Now, this has created a huge divide amongst the Madrid fan bases. A lot of Madrid fans point the finger at Vini. Many people say Vinicius Jr.'s form has been unacceptable. It's not just been bad, it has been dreadful. Ever since Kylian Mbappe has arrived, he has taken a massive drop-off. And many people are even saying that it wasn't even Mbappe's arrival that caused this drop-off. For many people, they believe that Kylian Mbappe's arrival is not the problem. It's more of him not winning the Ballon d'Or in 2024. That was the main reason, right? Because ever since that Ballon d'Or ceremony, he's never been the same, right? Now, I'm not making this video to basically tell you guys why Vinicius' form dropped off. However, his form did drop off completely. And it wasn't good enough. And a lot of people felt like he wasn't pulling his weight in the team. And then you look on the other side, there were some people who were Vini defenders who do point the finger at Kylian Mbappe. Basically, the point is, when you look at the history, and basically stocks-wise, Vinicius Jr., being at the club since 2018, has proven that when he was the main man, he's taken Real Madrid to the promised land. That is a lot of the things that a lot of Vini defenders would basically bring up. The fact that before Kylian Mbappe arrived, Real Madrid had just came back from a Champions League win, a La Liga win, a club double, right? Everything was looking rosy. They had won the Champions League 2 years earlier. So the club was at a very, very, very good place when Kylian Mbappe arrived. And also, just to mention, the fact that Kylian Mbappe left PSG in 2024, joined Madrid, and then the club he just left went on to win the treble right after he walked out of the door, is One of many reasons why a lot of people are saying that despite all he's done individually, he has basically ruined the chemistry of the team. Individually, he works out, but collectively as a team, it doesn't work. And that is the point basically I want to talk about. Now, a lot of the reasons I feel like a lot of people, especially like the Vinny defenders, where I will agree with them, is when you look at Kylian Mbappe, his whole career, he has played with a lot of world-class players. He's been blessed. If you look at the players he's had a chance to play with, he's played with Neymar, he's played with Lionel Messi, he's played with Benzema with France, he's played with players like Griezmann, like Pogba, right? He's had a lot of world-class players, some of the greatest footballers, arguably the greatest footballer of all time at some point he played with at PSG. And despite all of that, despite having all of that, he could never carry those teams to the promised land. The PSG team that he was with Neymar at the beginning, that team was supposed to be the team to basically be the superpower in Europe. That project failed. When they brought in Messi, players like Ramos, like Donnarumma, guess what? They got knocked out of round of 16 twice. And when you look at even his career with France, which I will talk about later, when you look at Kylian Mbappe after Messi and Neymar left, and basically the squad was built around him, they brought a lot of great young players like Vitinha, the João Neves, they brought Ousmane Dembele, right? They brought a lot of players with great potential who basically are not superstars and basically would want to play alongside Kylian or basically make Kylian Mbappe the main man. That team was built for Kylian. But in the end, after one season, he left. And that team went on to achieve what they achieved. And then when you look at his career with France, which is a lot of the things that Mbappe defenders will use and say, well, look at his stats with France. When you look at France in 2018, Kylian Mbappe was not France's main man. He was one of their key players. But let's be honest, in 2018, he wasn't the main man. They had so many great players like Griezmann. There are players like Pogba in the team, players like Kante in the team, right? There was a lot of players who the attention was on, not just Kylian Mbappe. In 2020, during the Euros, when they paired him up with Karim Benzema, I don't think Kylian Mbappe had a great tournament. They got knocked out at under 16. Kylian Mbappe really didn't have a tournament to remember. But when you look at in the 2022 World Cup, when he was paired up with Olivier Giroud, who, let's be real, his numbers is not the reason why France always play him. It's his link-up play, right? The fact that he can basically take a step back and give players like Kylian Mbappe, who are the main men or the goal scorers, or basically the players that can produce in the big moments, more space to basically roam. When he was paired up with Giroud, it worked perfectly. And he carried that team to the World Cup final and almost won the World Cup. But that is the case with Kylian Mbappe. When you look at Kylian Mbappe's career, a lot of the teams that he plays his best football at, or places where he does most of his best work, is when the team is built around him. When he's given the freedom to do what he wants. And when he does what he wants, numbers-wise, it always ends up coming into fruition. His numbers don't lie. The guy always puts it down. However, when it comes down to the big moments, where are the trophies? Because he had the opportunity to win the Champions League at PSG, he failed. When he was France's main man in 2022 World Cup, I know he carried them, scored a hat-trick. They didn't win the World Cup. It is what it is. And that's the thing. Kylian Mbappe has not really proven just yet that he can carry the team to the promised land. And when I talk about the promised land, I'm not just talking about league titles. I'm talking about the Champions League and the World Cup. Be the main man to carry these teams in the big tournaments. Look at in the Club World Cup. I know he was injured for most of that tournament, but when he came back, what did he do against PSG in the big game? And that's the thing. And like I mentioned, I'm not sitting here saying that Kylian Mbappe is the problem, by the way. I'm just giving basically the perspective of a lot of Madrid fans who are defending Vini and kind of looking at it and saying, well, Kylian Mbappe hasn't really proven that he's proven he can score goals when you build a team around him, but he hasn't proven that him being the main man brings the trophies that they want to see. Vinicius Jr., however, at Real Madrid, he has proven that he can get it over the line. He scored in both Champions League finals that they've won in this decade. Arguably was one of their best players. In that run in the Champions League in 2024, he was carrying them in the crunch games. In a lot of the crunch games, in a lot of the toughest games, Vinicius turned up. Even as a Barca fan, I can say that. I'm not afraid to speak my mind on that. That's the truth. Vinicius Jr. in big games has always performed. And when it matters most, in the moments of finals, Vinicius has turned up. Not just in the Champions League final, but even in the year, that same year, we played them in the Spanish Super Cup. I will never forget, he scored a hat-trick against Barcelona in the Spanish Super Cup. He's proven that he can get it done in the big games. And sometimes players can become legends based on that. And that's what I think. So the big question now is, when you look at the games, especially yesterday's game between Betis and Real Madrid, and you look at the fact that that was the first game they played without Kylian, and the fact that fluency-wise, chemistry-wise, that was probably the best performance attacking-wise or all-round that we've seen from Madrid all season. The question has to be asked, is Kylian Mbappé, despite his great form, more of an hindrance to the team than an actual advantage? Because the fact of the matter is, there is no I in team. There is no I in team. The game, to win the big trophies, to win the big moments, you need to have a squad. Even when Barcelona had MSN, we had a lot of great players behind MSN. The team that dominated Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. Yeah, Messi was the main man, but look at the players he had around him. Everyone pulled their weight in that team. That's why that team dominated. So Kylian Mbappe's form can continue to rise if the rest of the other players are not carrying their weight. You have to ask the question. But there's still a lot more time basically to make judgment, because Mbappe is out for 3 weeks. So he will not be available for the next, possibly the next 2 to 3, basically he might not be available for most of this month. Fran Garcia will be the number 9. Let's see if Fran Garcia's form and basically the team's form, performance-wise, improves. Where will we be then? And what happens when Mbappe does return and the form drops off? But yeah, let me know what you guys think of everything I've said in the comment section below. This is my question to you guys. Do you guys think that Mbappe, despite his great form, is the problem? Or do you just think that it's just a coincidence? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. And like I always say whenever I end these streams, guys, Visca el Barça, Visca el Catalonia. And peace, you guys. Take care.